Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, the Universe Listens.
We cherish that. We love that particular piece of it because it
teach people like, hey, it's okay, change.
New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
How you think you are. 27 days to radically shift your thinking and upgrade your life. More wealth, health, love, and joy.
Your course is the first course that I don't mind repeating again and again and again.
Click on the link for the special offer or visit the website at www.arvettemclean.com. Greetings and welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. And today's topic is Chadwick Boseman, A Life on Purpose. And I have Deborah joining me. How are you, Deborah?
I'm doing great, Arvette. How are you? How's everybody?
Yeah, so
Good.
my goodness, we lost another one.
I know. And in a way, for those of us who truly believe that when someone leaves us here on earth, that they're just continuing life, in another space and time. We may initially mourn the loss of that person here, but we understand that they are still with us in spirit, and they're just with us in another dimension, in a greater dimension. So it was still sad to hear the loss of Chadwick Boseman, but what came out of that for me was so much information about this wonderful being. What I knew of him was his acting career. And I watched an interview about him, or he interviewed and shared his background, that he was born in South Carolina, his siblings, his family. But, when someone moves on, a lot of their greater achievements are highlighted and shared at lightning speed, especially now that we have social media. So, again, although he's passed, all of the things that he's contributed during his lifetime are so amazing. And I wanted to just talk about that and share how I felt now that I know all these wonderful things, besides his greatest movie, Black Panther. He had so much more to contribute. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting how so much comes out after the fact. And, you already know certain people are inspirational in their, in the way they walk, the way they carry themselves. But then when you hear like the backstory of things, then it's like your mind can just totally be blown. So I didn't know much about him before, and even I feel like he was so private. Even in the aftermath, it's still kind of hard getting information about him. But like you say, it's more and more coming out at lightning speed. So what are some of the things that have touched you so far?
Well, one thing particularly, which I saw on social media, was a commencement ceremony where he spoke and I believe it was Harvard College graduation.
Howard.
And
Howard University.
It was Howard. Yes, thank you. Howard University. And, he was speaking to the students about knowing their purpose. He was reminding them that, yes, you're graduating with a degree, and your next step now is to be on the path to search for your career, search for, a job. But have you put in that same energy to know your purpose, right? To know what you're here to do. Are you seeking that? And that should be what's most important, is your purpose. So that was really moving, and it allowed me to kind of get some insight on, him being the type of person that obviously has done that. He's taking time out to know his purpose. And that speech was just a wonderful reminder of, that's the duty of us all while we're here, is to know our purpose and fulfill that purpose while we're here. Okay. So that's what stood out to me most. Yeah.
So I actually saw that speech as well, and I did love it. I love what he was sharing with the students, and how he almost stumbled on his. And it's like, I know what he means when he talks about purpose and things like that. And I have a totally different viewpoint on it, but I love the viewpoint that he was saying. And I feel like he was basically saying that you're going to find it if you pay attention, and if you follow the yearnings of your heart and be true to yourself, that you're going to find what your purpose is. And that some of the setbacks that you have, that is what's taking you towards and helping to shape you towards what it is that you are to do, what you're here to do in the first place. And I love the story that he told about his first acting job, where he was getting paid with a 6-figure salary, and he was just psyched about doing it. And but it was a very stereotypical role. And when he questioned, the powers that be about this role, he ended up getting fired. And so he's like, oh my goodness. Did I make the right decision by questioning, by standing up for what I believed in or whatever? And at first, he kind of doubted himself, but he realized that, standing true to who you are is what opens the doors to where it is you're trying to go.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, and that was a wonderful reminder, because yes, it's not just a straight path for all of us to find our purpose and move forward in life in that way. So, it's always nice to hear from someone who has found their purpose, share the story of, possible roadblocks and struggles and doubts that they had on their way there. So yeah, he also mentioned that in the commencement ceremony too, challenging the things that are laid out in front of you that, you question, and that you're like, is this really what my purpose is? I know that society is telling me this, or this culture or this community is leading me in this direction, but being able to know in your heart, listen to your higher self share or guide you to where your purpose is, and not be afraid to challenge those areas that your higher self may have questions about. Because I think that could be challenging for most people, to be on a path that you're directed to be on based on societal norms, or even family norms, what your family's expectations are, and then to listen to what your intuition is telling you that your purpose is, and not letting anything outside of your intuition tell you which way to go. That can be challenging, but it's really nice to hear that your intuition is still key, and you're still to follow that regardless of what outside factors, what things may be pushing you. Because I can only imagine how challenging that may, like you said, for him to have, as an actor, gotten this role, 6 figures, according to everyone that you talk to, that would have been, yeah, that is your direction, sir. That's the road you need to follow. But there was still something within him saying, is this really what it is? And we need to question and question this and take more time to look into this. So him asking that question that unfortunately led him to not have the role anymore, to be fired, was part of the process, because he needed to be pointed in the different direction that was more along his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that we need those reminders.
Yeah. And I love that he says that if you stay on purpose, that the doors that you're supposed to go through will open up for you. And I believe that to be so true. And just the ideal of, if he would have folded and if he had decided, yeah, let me play this stereotypical role, which, he was willing to do if it made sense. He was willing to do that because there are people who fit into the role that he was supposed to play. But he was like, if there's no reason to play it, like, why should I do that? And so, and apparently based on his, the way he said that the entire thing played out, he was not like arrogant, belligerent, anything. He was just having a conversation. And the next thing you know, he was kind of blacklisted, like, oh, you're a troublemaker. And he's just like, oh, are you telling me I can't do any acting? And his agent is like, no, we need to basically take a chill for a little while because you've been labeled as a troublemaker. And so he's like, how the story with the fox and the grapes, and they're like, oh, those grapes are probably sour anyway. When the fox get the grapes. And so he was like, that was kind of his response, like, I didn't want to act anyway. Let me go back to directing. But then the doors did open for him, the doors that led him to these roles that, he has just worn so beautifully.
Yes, I agree. When the doors are meant for you, they open easily, and when they're not meant, they may close suddenly, or, they definitely will be closed. I think that's a beautiful thing that the universe is able to guide you by, closing doors to direct you into the direction you need to be for those doors that are open and waiting.
So my question to you is, do you think that everybody is, first of all, everybody has a purpose, and then secondly, that the universe guides them to their purpose?
I do, yes. I believe everyone has a purpose. And yes, just like he mentioned in his speech, or I think in an interview, that you have to just listen and be in tune. But your guidance, your compass is always there. There's not a moment where you're not being guided. The moments are that you're just not in tune to hearing the guides, hearing the directions.
Yeah. So
what about you?
I think that we all have a purpose. I think we have many purposes, and that we would never know most of the purposes that we have in life. And I think I used this analogy before, but let's just take an apple tree. What's the purpose of an apple tree? An apple tree might think its purpose is to bear apples, but it has so many other purposes. It's a home for birds, it's a home for insects, it provides shade, it provides oxygen, it provides soil retention. It's just so many things that a apple tree does, and it might think it bears apples. And I feel like we're the same way. Like, there's so many things that we do, so many purposes that we serve, and a lot of times we get caught up in what's my purpose? What's my purpose? But just by virtue of living, I feel like we're serving that purpose just by the virtue of living. And I think that when people say purpose, I really think they may be talking about dreams, or what is it that you would love to do. And I know just throughout my life, there have been different things where I could say, oh, okay, so now I see this is my purpose. But then that phase of my life will pass through. I might do that purpose for 10 years, and then in 10 more years, I'm doing something else that, okay, now I see this is my purpose. And then for 10 more years, I'm doing something else. Like, now I see this is my purpose. And and I think I've spent time in my life, I've been kind of like, what's my purpose? I don't know. And it's kind of stressful, like trying to figure out what's your purpose. And people are like, well, what is it that you loved when you were a child? What is something that you loved? And that's probably along the lines of what your purpose is. So that's kind of the conversations that I've heard over time about purpose. But I really feel like that it really wasn't predetermined what we were to do here. Like that it's up to us to decide what do we want to do, because we're already on purpose. Every day we're on purpose. But it's like, okay, now you're here to enjoy this experience of life, this physical experience. We're here to enjoy this and to make the most of it, because when we're in a spiritual form, there's certain things that we can't do. We can't feel, we can't eat, we can't, certain things we can't do. We can't talk to each other. It's like, I can't hear the sound of a voice and, those types of things. We don't have those kinds of senses. And I think that when we're here, we're coming here to, I guess, experience in a way that we can't as a spiritual entity. And that is not as hard. It's not supposed to be as hard and as serious as we make it out to be. I feel like we're coming to say, what do I want to experience? And when we get the answer to that question, these are the things that I love, then I think we get guidance to, okay, that's what you want to do? That's what you want us to experience? Okay, let's open up these doors so that you can experience it like that. So it's just like a little slant on how other people see purpose, I think.
Right. So therefore, there could be infinite purposes, just depending on your day, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So my purpose today was to possibly become aware that there's more than one purpose. Because that was pretty eye-opening. I've never considered like a person's purpose being more than just one thing. It's almost like you kind of get shaped to look at it as there's an end goal, and your entire life you're gonna achieve what that end goal is, and you just have to find it. But that could be moment to moment. That could be day to day, week to week. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, and I definitely think, some people, when they came here, they came to be an actor. Like, that's what they came to do. They came to shine in that area, or they came to be an engineer or whatever. Like, because some people come in with special talents already at the surface. I believe we all have all of the talents. We all have the potential. But some people come with it at the surface, and they already love that thing that they come with.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's so many images or names going through my head right now. Like, that person came to do that. Like, Michael Jackson, he came to do what Michael Jackson did.
Right. But then what were some of the purposes he had leading up to becoming the famous, well, I mean, he started at 5 years old. So the first 5 years, he had other purposes though, right? And so maybe just within his family unit, his purpose was to bring his family together on that level, the closeness of them forming a band and traveling together, and that experience, that was his purpose. Or just a personal purpose of his, whatever growth he had in those first 4 years, on the way to becoming the famous Michael Jackson at 5. Yeah, that was definitely his purpose. He started early. But yeah, I still agree, and I think I'm still processing this new idea that you shared with us, that it's multifaceted, multiple purposes, and that can change moment to moment, day to day. It's just a part. I think it plays. I agree when you say like it depends on what you're led to, what inspires you, and how you tune in to following that inspiration, to finding your purpose.
Yeah.
So very beautifully said, Arvette. I love that. I
Good.
love that idea. Yeah. So yes, unfortunately, like we began the conversation, a wonderful person gone from us too soon. However, it has opened up, or it has opened a door for us to become more aware of some things he did beyond his acting career, and his mindset, and just the beautiful spirit, that he was here and is now, just in the spiritual realm. So, and it led to this wonderful discussion, and I hope I'm sure everybody's gonna just walk away from this being like, wow, because my wheels are already turning, and I know I plan to spend some more time just kind of meditating on this conversation, a life-driven purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are two things that I did want to point out, and I know we need to wrap up, but the one thing is his reserved personality. And the reason I want to point that out is because I can say reserved, but really I've been shy and painfully shy for the majority of my life. And in that space, I come across other people who are the same way, and they feel like, and I know, and I felt like this in my lifetime before, is that when you're shy, your options are limited because you don't have the same, I guess I don't know what the word is, but because you aren't able to express yourself and things like that like everybody else can, and you can't like stand up for yourself, and so a lot of shy people think that their options are limited. And so I love it when I see people like Chadwick, who I don't know if he's shy, but definitely he was a reserved person. He didn't have to stand up and scream and shout and be, flamboyant. He just was who he was, and he shined in that space. So just a reminder to all the shy people out there,
shy people,
shine wherever you are. You can shine in your space, and you don't have to worry about trying to put on another, something else. You can just be who you are.
Right. No, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that is a interesting quality, for him to be an actor, but still have this level of like you said, being reserved. And for me, my personality, it's strange. I know I'm an introvert. Well, I refer to myself as an ambivert. I can be introverted and just very fine with being low key and quiet. And that typically happens. I typically want to be most quiet when I'm around a lot of people and a lot of energy. And then I'm the opposite when it's just kind of me and a couple other people. Then I'm wide awake, and definitely not reserved. But yes, it is important to remind people, especially the shy people, or the people that tend to be shy sometimes and feel like they're limited in how they can express themselves, that you don't have to think that there's a limit because of that quality you have in you, the reservation, the need to be reserved and quiet. It can be just as an important factor for those who are opposite of us shy people, and it could provide more momentum on the end. So
yeah. So I wanted to say Well, I'm sorry for cutting you across. I wanted to say
Oh,
one more
you're
thing.
fine.
I'm sitting in the McDonald's parking lot, and they're kicking me out of the parking lot right now.
Oh,
So I'm going to go
all
ahead
right.
and wrap up. But thank you so much for this conversation. And I do hope we get to talk about Chadwick a little more, because he's it's worth talking about him some more.
I agree. Well, I enjoyed the discussion, and it blossomed so many more ideas about him than I thought. So thank you, Arvette.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And please make sure you click the like button, you click the subscribe button, and you can check out my website at arvettemclain.com. Until next time. Bye.
All right.